All praises due to the Most High, family. Let's talk some football. Quick disclaimer, I work overnight. I can't catch all the games. I caught as much of this game live as I could, but not the whole game. So what I'm really giving to you here, family, is my perspective off of the highlights, the box score, the stats, just my perspective. Now, we talking about the Saints losing, what was the score? 26 to 21 to the Niners. Saints lost 26-21 to the Niners. And I'm going to keep it real with y'all, family. I'm a Saints fan. Y'all was giving me smoke in the last Saints game review. I am a Saints fan. That's why I'm in general a harsher critic of the Saints than I am other teams, because I want to win. I like when the Saints win. There's no better feeling for me as a sports fan. And I like all sports. Nothing gives me the same feeling as when the Saints are winning. So I'm going to keep it tall with y'all. That was a bad game. The score was close. We had a chance to win in the end, despite the terrible team performance. Now, there were some individual shine. There were a handful of individuals that did shine. But as a team, family, we're bad. I don't know. We might be the worst team in the league. We might not be. But this game did not make me think that we gained ground away from being the worst team in the league. Some of the commentary I've seen suggests that it was a close game. The Saints showed some growth, particularly Rattler showed some growth. But I'm going to keep it real with y'all, just what I seen. We're talking about 4 or 5 players that had a decent game, and the rest of the team, was absolutely abhorrent. Let's get into it. Spencer Rattler. Good job, folks. Spencer Rattler, good job. The receiving core, the receiving room did you dirty and had some big drops. Let's just keep it real. Spencer Rattler, good job. Chris Olave. I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to really get into all the details about this game the way I want to, family, but I have to talk about Chris Olave because, and the fact that he wearing the number 12, it bothers me. Because wasn't that Marcus Colston number? Chris Olave is not a wide receiver 1, family. As Saints fans, who comes to your mind as a receiver 1? We were blessed. And I don't want to hear it. It was not all Drew Brees. These were genuine. Drew Brees was low-key depending on these receivers rather than them benefiting from Drew Brees' skill. Drew Brees was an accurate quarterback. Drew Brees would have half the yards if it were not for these 2 receivers that come to my mind when I think about receiver 1. We're talking about Chris Olave as a receiver 1. No hate to Chris Olave. I'm just keeping it real as a Saints fan. He's not a receiver 1. I seen somebody comment that he'd be a good receiver 2. Family, he'd be a great, possibly receiver 3. But he is no receiver 1. I think about Marcus Colston. I think about Michael Thomas. These were receivers that if If the rest of the offense was taking off, they alone could sustain an 80-yard drive. I'm not kidding. And I know my Saints fans, I know y'all remember those moments. Marcus Colston and Mike Thomas were the type. You could have a game with those two where they end up with 15 to 20 receptions, and there's a drive or two where they themselves, just with their route tree and hands, got us down the field. Chris Olave is not that. He's in the Saints uniform. He has some talent. He made some catches in this game. But are we talking about wide receiver one, or are we talking about a receiver on the field? Juwan Johnson, you got popped in the chest twice with the ball. Can you help Spencer Rattler, please? That's all I'm going to say. Because last game you were there. But 2 balls popped you in the chest? Pause. That's frustrating, man, as a Saints fan, for real. Especially when we know, like, look. I heard somebody say Spencer Rattler in this last game was the best Saint on the field. I think the only person with an argument is Demario Davis, because he's still quarterback in that defense. He still led the defense in tackles. Granderson had, he had a few tackles for TFLs, tackles for losses. So these are the individuals that definitely shined in a bad game. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. The score to me was not indicative of the game that we had. We had too many penalties, especially early on. We did get done dirty by the refs because that was not a catch and fumble. That was an incompletion. Come on, bro. He has control of the ball with his helmet. It's so frustrating, the NFL nowadays. That is not a catch and fumble. That's an incomplete ball. But nonetheless, look, all of this happened, and we still had a chance to win the game. And I was not really expecting or depending on Spencer Rattler to a 90-yard drive for a touchdown to win the game. I thought that was too tall an order. But I think this attempt for Spencer Rattler is good for his growth. I think to have the game that he had and to have the attempt to try to the attempt at a game-winning drive, I think that's good for his growth. But I did not see it happening in this particular game. Had we had a better game earlier on, maybe, and he just needed a field goal to win the game, that might have been a more reasonable order. But a 90-yard drive for touchdown, too much for Spencer Rattler at this current moment. What else, family? The Niners, I don't even think played a good game. We're that bad. And I know last time I talked about the Saints, y'all were like, man, you ain't no real Saints fan. You a hater. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm just telling you the quality of football that I observed. I feel bad for Demario Davis and Cam Jordan that they're doing this at this big age. They've put in so many years for the Saints, only for the rest of their teammates to let them down like this. Alvin Kamara had a good game. I forgot to mention him earlier. Almost 20 carries is a little too much for me. I mean, that's about his cap. I would like to see Kamara around 15 carries and the rest in the receiving game. But Kamara did have a good game. It was the drops, family. It was the penalties. It was the poor third down conversions on both sides of the ball. We couldn't get the Niners off the field on third down. We could not extend the drive on third down. So, I don't know. I think I got to watch the rest of these highlights and stats and stuff, but I'm still thinking that we're the worst team in the league. It hurts. But who that?